there is a truth that many men long to hear, a truth that resonates deep within their hearts, yet often, it goes unspoken. It's a truth that speaks to the very core of who they are, to the dreams they carry, to the aspirations they chase. Men desire to hear these words, but sadly, so few speak them. What is this truth? It's the simple yet powerful affirmation that you are valued, you are respected, and you are capable of greatness. Too often, the world drifts in a sea of criticism, where voices of doubt grow louder than voices of encouragement. It is a challenge for a man to rise each day, step into the world, and face the battles of life without hearing those words that stir his spirit and propel him forward. But, brothers, there is a truth that goes beyond the world's applause and beyond the superficial affirmations that come and go. The real, enduring strength that lies in a man's heart comes from knowing that someone truly believes in him. When the winds of discouragement blow, and when the storms of life cloud your vision, it is those words spoken by someone who truly understands you that become the anchor for your soul. Men, there is something in you that the world needs. There is a fire inside you that has the power to change lives, to lead with strength, to protect with courage, and to love with a deep, selfless devotion. Yet this fire is nurtured when it is met with words of encouragement, respect, and support. Many men long for affirmation, and it is rare to hear it from those who matter most to those who walk beside us in life. But let this truth ring out today. Every man needs to hear that he is valued. He needs to hear that his efforts, his struggles, his triumphs, and even his failures matter. When a man knows he is seen, he can rise higher. When he knows he is loved, he can go further. And yes, there may be times when the world remains silent, but that does not diminish the truth of who he is and what he can accomplish. The reality is this: God has put within every man a purpose, a strength, and a resolve that cannot be taken away by the words of the world. Though the world may remain quiet, we must remind one another that we are here for a reason, that the strength of a man is not in what he has done alone but in the way he has stood, faced the challenges, and remained true to the purpose that was placed in his heart. And so, I encourage you today, stand tall, be strong, and walk with the confidence of knowing that your worth is not defined by the silence or the applause of others. It is defined by the unwavering truth that you were created for greatness. The love you seek, the affirmation you long for, it begins with you believing in yourself, with you understanding the power within you, and with you choosing to live every day as the man you were always meant to be. God has called you to something far greater than what the world may offer. It's time to rise and live out that calling. For there is a power in a man who knows who he is, and a world that desperately needs to see him walk in it. The power of affirmation. Men deeply long for affirmation and encouragement, yet these words of value and respect are often rare, especially from those who matter most. Encouragement in adversity, in times of struggle and discouragement. Words of affirmation become an anchor for a man's soul, giving him strength to rise and continue his journey. God-given purpose and strength. Every man has a purpose, strength, and resolve placed within him by God, and this inner power can carry him through any challenge, no matter the external circumstances. The impact of respect and love. Men thrive when they feel respected, valued, and loved. These affirmations fuel their courage, leadership, and capacity to make a positive impact in the world. Inner strength over external validation. A man's true worth is not defined by external applause or the silence of others, but by his understanding of the inherent strength and purpose placed in him by God. Living out one's calling. Men are called to greatness and must walk confidently in that calling, knowing their worth and ability to make a difference in the world, regardless of the recognition they receive from others. Men deeply long for affirmation and encouragement, yet these words of value and respect are often rare, especially from those who matter most. In a world that is increasingly fast-paced, competitive, and filled with distractions, the importance of affirmation cannot be overstated. A man, at his core, is wired to seek validation, not from superficial or fleeting sources, but from the people who truly know and understand him. However, too often, that affirmation is withheld, leaving him to navigate the challenges of life alone, without the words that could lift his spirit and encourage him to keep moving forward. When a man is constantly faced with the demands of life, whether it's providing for his family, excelling in his career, or striving to be a good friend or partner, he carries a heavy burden. The weight of responsibility can sometimes become overwhelming, and in those moments, what he truly needs most is to hear that his efforts are seen and appreciated. Words of affirmation, however simple they may seem, hold incredible power. They remind him that his struggles, his sacrifices, and his determination are not in vain. Yet, in many circles, especially within the hustle and bustle of modern life, these affirmations are not always given freely. The desire for affirmation is not merely a fleeting need or a desire for praise. It speaks to a deeper, more profound aspect of the human experience. Every person, regardless of gender, longs to be understood and valued for who they are and what they contribute. For men, this longing is often amplified by societal expectations that suggest they must be strong, stoic, and self-sufficient. Men are frequently taught, from an early age, to suppress vulnerability and to rely on themselves rather than seeking help or validation from others. This cultural expectation can lead to a sense of isolation, as men feel they must carry the weight of the world on their shoulders without showing any signs of weakness. However, this does not mean that the need for affirmation disappears. In fact, it becomes even more urgent. When men go without affirmation for too long, it can erode their sense of self-worth. They may begin to question whether their efforts are meaningful, whether their sacrifices matter, or whether they are truly valued in the eyes of the people around them. This lack of affirmation can create a sense of disconnection and, at times, despair. It is not that men need constant praise or empty flattery, but rather that they need genuine, heartfelt acknowledgement of who they are and what they do. A few simple words of affirmation can make all the difference in helping a man realize that he is seen and appreciated, not just for what he achieves, but for who he is at his core. The importance of affirmation is not only about lifting someone's spirits in the moment but also about helping them grow and reach their potential. Positive words from others can be a powerful motivator. They encourage men to continue pursuing their goals, to press forward despite the difficulties they face, and to remain resilient in the face of adversity. When a man feels affirmed, he is more likely to take risks, to step out of his comfort zone, and to challenge himself in new ways. He is empowered to become the best version of himself because he has been encouraged and reminded that his efforts are worthy of recognition. Sadly, the reality is that men often find this affirmation in limited supply, particularly from the people who are closest to them. In relationships, whether they are with spouses, friends, or colleagues, the lack of affirmation can lead to feelings of inadequacy. A wife or partner may appreciate everything a man does for the family or the relationship, but often, those words go unsaid. A colleague may recognize a man's hard work, but the praise may remain unspoken, lost in the rush of deadlines and responsibilities. As a result, men can begin to feel as though their contributions are invisible, as though they are putting in effort without receiving any recognition in return. This is where the power of affirmation becomes even more profound. It is not just about offering praise when things go well, but also about offering support and recognition during the tough times. Men need to hear that their struggles matter, that their vulnerability is understood, and that their worth is not dependent on their success or failure. True affirmation comes when someone sees the man as a whole, when they acknowledge both his strengths and his weaknesses, and still offer encouragement. It's about recognizing the depth of his character, his commitment, and his heart, even when he may not have the words to express how he feels. When men are affirmed, they feel seen, heard, and respected. This validation serves as a catalyst for growth and progress, allowing them to become better versions of themselves. They are no longer defined solely by their achievements or external validation, but by the understanding that their worth is inherent, and that they have the potential to achieve greatness regardless of what others may or may not say. In the end, it is not about seeking approval for the sake of validation, but rather about creating an environment where affirmation is freely given, and where men are encouraged to be their authentic selves. Affirmation can be the key that unlocks a man's potential, giving him the confidence to step forward, knowing he is valued. In times of struggle and discouragement, words of affirmation become an anchor for a man's soul, giving him strength to rise and continue his journey. Life is full of challenges, some expected, others unforeseen, whether it's the weight of financial responsibility, the burden of career setbacks, personal loss, or even the internal battles that no one else can see. These moments can feel like they are too much to bear. In these difficult times, it's easy for a man to feel as though he is walking alone, isolated in his struggle. It is precisely during these times that the need for words of encouragement becomes most critical. When the world seems heavy and hope feels distant, a single word of affirmation can act as a lifeline, reminding him that he is not alone and that there is still hope, even when the road ahead is unclear. The importance of affirmation in these moments cannot be overstated. A man's ability to keep moving forward in the face of adversity is often rooted in the strength of the relationships around him, especially when those relationships offer support, understanding, and genuine encouragement. But it is not always easy to find that affirmation. Men, by nature, are often conditioned to face challenges head-on and to handle things on their own. They may be taught to be strong, to shoulder their burdens quietly, and to press on regardless of how difficult the path becomes. This societal expectation can sometimes make it harder for them to ask for help or seek the encouragement they need. As a result, they may feel as though they are facing their struggles in isolation, carrying their burdens without the support or validation they desperately need. But the truth is, no one is meant to face life's challenges alone. Every person, regardless of their strength or resilience, needs to hear words of encouragement and support, especially when they are struggling. A simple, sincere affirmation such as "I believe in you," "You are doing great," or "You've got these" can be the very thing that helps a man take the next step forward. These words serve as a reminder that, despite the hardships, he is valued and that his efforts are recognized, even when everything seems uncertain. Affirmation provides a foundation upon which he can stand firm, knowing that he is not walking through his struggles in vain. When men are struggling, their inner thoughts can often become a battleground. Doubt, fear, and insecurity can take hold, making it harder for them to see beyond the difficulties they are facing. They may question whether they are capable, whether they are good enough, or whether they have what it takes to overcome the obstacles in front of them. It is in these moments that words of affirmation become a powerful antidote to the negative thoughts and self-doubt that can overwhelm their minds. Affirmation is not just about praise for success, it is about speaking truth into a man's life when he is vulnerable, reminding him that his worth is not defined by his struggles, but by who he is at his core. During times of hardship, affirmation has the power to restore a man's sense of hope. Hope is what drives him forward, even when the path seems uncertain. It is the belief that better days are ahead, that he has the strength to endure, and that his efforts will eventually bear fruit. However, hope can be difficult to hold on to when the weight of the world feels unbearable. When a man hears words of affirmation from someone he trusts, whether it's a partner, a friend, or a mentor, those words can act as a beacon of light in the darkness. They remind him that he is not forgotten, that his efforts are seen, and that he has the support of those around him. This affirmation not only lifts his spirits in the moment, but it also fuels his perseverance, giving him the strength to keep moving forward when everything inside him wants to give up. Moreover, affirmation in times of struggle strengthens the bond between the person offering support and the man receiving it. It fosters trust, deepens relationships, and creates an environment where vulnerability is welcomed rather than feared. When a man is struggling, and someone steps in to offer encouragement, it shows that they care, that they are invested in his well-being, and that they are there to help him through the toughest of times. This act of support is not just about offering temporary comfort, it's about building a foundation of trust that can sustain both individuals through the ups and downs of life. The impact of affirmation during hard times extends beyond the immediate moment. When a man is affirmed, especially in his weakest or in most vulnerable moments, it can have a long-lasting effect on his outlook and future actions. It encourages him to continue pushing forward, not just for himself, but for the people who believe in him. It reminds him that he has the strength to rise above his circumstances, and that he is not defined by his failures or struggles, but by his resilience and character. The power of affirmation, therefore, is not just in the momentary boost it provides, but in its ability to transform a man's perspective and equip him to face future challenges with renewed strength. In times of struggle and discouragement, words of affirmation offer a lifeline to a man's spirit. They provide the encouragement and validation he needs to keep moving forward. Even when the journey seems impossible, they remind him that he is not alone, that his efforts are seen, and that his worth is not defined by his struggles. Ultimately, affirmation serves as an anchor in the storm, giving a man the strength and hope to rise above his circumstances and continue on his path. Every man has a purpose, strength, and resolve placed within him by God, and this inner power can carry him through any challenge, no matter the external circumstances. These inherent qualities are woven into the very fabric of a man's being. They are not contingent on external recognition or the approval of others. They are foundational truths about who he is, deep at the core of his identity. Despite the challenges life may throw his way, these God-given attributes remain within him, waiting to be called upon in moments of need. Too often, however, men forget or fail to recognize the power that resides within them. They may be distracted by the demands of daily life or overwhelmed by the difficulties they face. It's easy to lose sight of the fact that they have an inner strength that is far greater than any challenge they encounter. God has endowed every man with a unique purpose, a calling that is specifically designed for him. This purpose is not just about what he does in his professional life or how he is perceived by others. It is about the deeper mission of his life, the way he impacts the world, the legacy he leaves, and the ways in which he can make a positive difference in the lives of others. A man's purpose is tied to his intrinsic quality as his courage, his resilience, his ability to love, and his capacity to persevere. These qualities were placed within him by God, and they are the key to navigating life's challenges. When a man's life becomes difficult or when he faces setbacks, he may start to doubt his own ability to overcome obstacles. The world may tell him that he is not enough, or that his struggles are too great to be surmountable. But the truth is, the power to overcome any challenge is already within him. His purpose, his strength, and his resolve are the internal resources that God has given him to draw upon when times are tough. These qualities are not just abstract concepts, they are real, tangible forces that shape the way a man faces adversity. This strength is often discovered when a man is at his lowest. It is when he feels most broken, most vulnerable, that he begins to tap into the deep well of strength that resides within him. In these moments of trial, when everything else seems uncertain, it is his faith in the purpose and power God has placed within him that allows him to rise again. It is easy to forget that we are not alone in our struggles, but God has promised to never leave us, and this assurance can embolden a man to keep fighting, even when the odds seem insurmountable. A man's inner strength is not about physical power or the ability to endure alone. It is about resiliency, the ability to stand firm, even when life seems to be pushing him down. It is about the determination to keep moving forward, even when the road ahead is unclear. This strength, rooted in purpose, gives a man the courage to face challenges head-on and to remain steadfast in his beliefs and values. It reminds him that the obstacles he faces are not the end of the story, but simply part of the journey. His true strength lies in his ability to keep moving forward, regardless of how difficult the path may become. Men are often taught that they must be self-sufficient, that they must have everything figured out on their own. This can lead to a dangerous isolation, where a man believes that asking for help or seeking guidance is a sign of weakness. But the strength that comes from God is not about handling everything on one's own. It is about understanding that true strength is found in humility and and reliance on a higher power. A man who is confident in his purpose and in the strength that God has placed within him is not afraid to lean on others, to ask for support, and to acknowledge that even the strongest among us need help from time to time. This kind of strength is not about pride, it is about having the courage to admit that we are all in this together and that we were never meant to face the challenges of life alone. This resolve, this determination to push forward in the face of adversity, is rooted in the belief that God's plan for a man's life is greater than any struggle he may face. A man who knows that his life is purpose is a man who is unstoppable. He understands that the difficulties he faces are temporary, but his purpose is eternal. Whether he encounters failure, rejection, or disappointment, he knows that these setbacks do not define him. His identity is not shaped by the circumstances of his life, but by the strength and resolve that God has placed within him. A man's inner strength is often revealed through his actions. It is the way he rises after falling, the way he continues to work toward his goals despite obstacles, and the way he remains faithful to his purpose even when the world tells him to give up. His strength is not measured by his achievements, but by his willingness to keep going, even when the journey is hard. This inner power allows a man to make a difference, not just in his own life, but in the lives of others as well. When he walks in his purpose, he inspires those around him to do the same. His strength becomes contagious, encouraging others to find the power within themselves to overcome their own challenges. At the end of the day, a man's true power lies not in his external accomplishments, but in his ability to tap into the strength and purpose God has placed inside him. It is a strength that cannot be taken away by the world, a purpose that cannot be undone by failure, and a resolve that cannot be shaken by the trials of life. This inner strength is the key to overcoming any challenge and to living a life that is not defined by circumstances, but by the unwavering belief that God has equipped him with everything he needs to fulfill his calling. Men thrive when they feel respected, valued, and loved. These affirmations fuel their courage, leadership, and capacity to make a positive impact in the world. In a society that often emphasizes achievement and external validation, it's easy to overlook the critical importance of respect and love in a man's life. These two pillars are not merely nice-to-haves but foundational elements that deeply influence a man's sense of self-worth, emotional resilience, and his ability to navigate the challenges of life with purpose and integrity. Respect is a fundamental need for every man. It's an acknowledgement of his worth, his efforts, and the unique qualities he brings to the world. Without respect, a man can feel invisible, unappreciated, and disconnected from those around him. When respect is present, however, it affirms that a man's contributions are seen and valued, which encourages him to continue striving toward his goals. This respect is not based solely on what a man has achieved or how successful he is, but on the recognition of his intrinsic value as a person. It communicates that he is worthy of dignity and consideration, no matter his circumstances or his failures. When respect is shown, it creates an environment where a man can thrive and feel empowered to take risks, pursue dreams, and lead others. In relationships, whether they are romantic, familial, or professional, respect fosters trust, cooperation, and mutual growth. It gives men the confidence to be themselves, knowing that they are accepted for who they are, not just for what they do. In the absence of respect, a man may feel constrained, forced to conform to others' expectations or hide aspects of himself that are important to his identity. Over time, this can erode his sense of self-worth, leaving him questioning his place in the world. On the other hand, when a man feels respected, he can lead with authenticity, knowing that he is valued for the full spectrum of his character. In addition to respect, love plays an equally critical role in nurturing a man's ability to flourish. Love provides emotional nourishment and acts as a source of strength during difficult times. When a man feels loved, he knows that he is supported and cared for, regardless of his achievements or failures. Love offers the comfort and security needed to face the trials of life, knowing that there are people who stand by him through thick and thin. The love a man receives from his family, his friends, and his partner acts as a stabilizing force, reminding him that his worth is not dependent on external circumstances. Love is a constant reminder that, at the heart of it all, He is valued for simply being himself. The power of love in a man's life is not just about the emotional warmth it provides but also the sense of purpose it imparts. When a man is loved, he is motivated to rise above his limitations and do his best for those he cares about. Love gives him the strength to continue even when he feels weary or defeated. It provides a sense of meaning and belonging that drives him to overcome obstacles and pursue a life that is not just about personal success, but about making a positive impact on the lives of others. Love empowers men to become better versions of themselves, to be more compassionate, more understanding, and more resilient. For men, being respected and loved is not a luxury, it is essential to their emotional health and well-being. In a world where they are often expected to be stoic, self-reliant, and unshakable, the need for respect and love may sometimes be overlooked. Yet, this emotional nourishment is what enables them to show up fully in their relationships and in their work. It is the bedrock that allows them to build strong, meaningful connections with others and to lead with integrity and confidence. Without these affirmations, men may struggle with feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt, which can hinder their ability to lead, grow, and make an impact. The importance of respect and love also extends to the way men lead and influence those around them. When a man feels respected and loved, he is more likely to lead with humility and empathy. Rather than from a place of ego or insecurity, he understands that his role as a leader is not to assert dominance or control, but to guide others with care and understanding. The love and respect he receives from others fuel his ability to inspire and uplift those he leads. It allows him to be a servant leader, focused on the needs of others rather than his own desires for power or recognition. When a man feels secure in his relationships, he can lead from a place of strength and compassion, fostering a culture of mutual respect, trust, and collaboration. Furthermore, respect and love enable men to connect with their deeper sense of purpose. These affirmations act as a reminder that they are part of a larger community, a greater story. They encourage men to rise above the self-centered narratives that are so prevalent in society, urging them to focus on the greater good. When men feel respected and loved, they are motivated to pursue goals that serve not just themselves, but the people they care about and the world around them. Their sense of purpose becomes clearer, and they are empowered to take meaningful action toward creating positive change in their personal lives and in their communities. Ultimately, respect and love are what enable men to be the best versions of themselves. These affirmations provide the foundation for confidence, resilience, and growth. They give men the strength to rise above challenges, the courage to lead with integrity, and the drive to make a positive impact on the world. When men feel respected and loved, they are free to express their true selves, embrace their full potential, and live lives of purpose and meaning. These two powerful forces have the capacity to transform a man's life, empowering him to not only overcome obstacles but to thrive in the face of adversity. A man's true worth is not defined by external applause or the silence of others, but by his understanding of the inherent strength and purpose placed in him by God. In a world that constantly measures success by achievements, recognition, and visible results, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that a man's value is determined solely by what he can show others. However, this mindset misses the deeper truth that a man's worth is not found in external validation, but in the understanding of who he is at his core, his character, his purpose, and his resolve. These qualities, placed within him by God, define his true worth, and they remain constant regardless of the accolades or criticisms that come from the outside world. The world often places a premium on achievements, whether it's climbing the corporate ladder, accumulating wealth, or gaining social status. These external markers are seen as signs of success and worth. In this context, it's easy to believe that a man's value is tied to his ability to meet these societal standards. The applause he receives for his accomplishments can feel validating, providing a temporary sense of fulfillment. Yet, the applause fades, and the accolades become less meaningful over time, leaving a man to wonder if he is truly valued for who he is, not just what he does. This is where the danger of relying on external validation lies. It can lead a man to feel empty or disconnected, as though his worth is contingent on meeting constantly shifting expectations. True worth, however, is rooted in something far deeper. A man's value is not contingent on his accomplishments or the opinions of others. It is anchored in the understanding of the purpose and strength that God has placed within him. This internal foundation is unwavering, constant, and unshakable, no matter what external circumstances may arise. This understanding of his inherent value remains steady. It is the realization that his worth is not based on his success or failure, but on his intrinsic identity as a child of God, uniquely created with a specific purpose. When a man grasps this truth, it frees him from the need to seek approval from others and allows him to live authentically, knowing that he is enough just as he is. This understanding of inherent worth also gives a man the confidence to face life's challenges with resilience. When external validation is not forthcoming, or when others fail to acknowledge his efforts, a man who is secure in his own sense of worth is less likely to be discouraged. Instead of seeking validation from others, he can draw strength from within, knowing that his worth is not defined by the approval or disapproval of those around him.